I'm Quinn Lemley with Secrets of the Stage. This is the place where we pull back the curtains and we dive into the creative process. And what a creative process that we have today. We have the legendary designer Esteban. Welcome.
Thank you.
I am so excited.
So happy to be here.
I can't believe you're here from.
Well, most people can't believe I'm still living. So
Oh, stop! From Acapulco.
Right from Acapulco.
Oh my goodness.
Wonderful Acapulco, legendary Acapulco.
Yes, you have.
Probably the most famous resort in the world.
Yes. What brought you there?
My mother, actually, because my mother, when she was 1937, went there. And she just felt it was paradise. There were only 6,000 people at that time. And she lived there 70 years.
Oh my
She
goodness.
went for 1 month and stayed first time 11 years and then stayed another 65 years.
Was she a designer, an artist like you?
She was a writer, intellectual. She was born in Paris.
Wow. So that's how you have all your culture. And your...
I think she gave it to me because my father was a great photographer, but he married 14 times, so we won't go into that.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Rita Hayworth said 17 was her lucky number, but she stopped at 5. Now, in Acapulco, you have dressed like almost every celebrity.
Well, that's one of the reasons that
that's made you a star.
I opened when I was 17 years old. I was going on 18, and I had a degree in architecture, psychology, and archaeology, and I opened a business for 1 year only, so I wouldn't take any more money from my mother for education, and I wanted to travel, and it was only going to be 1 year. In fact, my first store was 6 feet by 20 feet.
Oh my goodness.
But one day, I had, a few months after opening, I had Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds, Diane Cannon, and Diane Lane at the store at the same time in this little hallway store. And I said, Esteban, you really might be very stupid if you close. You might be a lousy architect, and then you won't have this.
Oh my goodness.
And my first wholesale client was Brigitte Bardot.
Oh my goodness. What did you sell her?
She ordered 85,000 bikinis.
Oh my goodness.
Her second husband, Gunther Sachs, was a very important German entrepreneur, and he had opened a sideline of really one of the first boutiques in the world. It was called Micmac, and she was buying the bikinis for Micmac.
I want to give our viewers kind of a taste of your world in Acapulco in this video that we have.
Well, Acapulco in the 50s, which I did not open, I was a child. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, and 80s was really the most popular resort in the world.
Wow.
And everybody came through it one way or the other.
I know Rita Hayworth went there.
Rita Hayworth went at least twice or 3 times a year.
Wow.
She was very close friends with a person at that time called Mr. Acapulco, Teddy Stauffer, which owned the Via Vera, and had all the most beautiful girls in the world.
And Via Vera was a resort?
It was a hotel.
A hotel.
Hotel resort. Tennis club, actually a racket club.
Nice.
And
I saw some of your tennis outfits. I
did a tennis line here in the United States in the same company as Bill Blass.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, and I did that for about 10 years.
Wow.
But that was a separate thing. And it was in Tennis Lady, and they sold to 10,000 stores.
Wow, that's amazing. And so...
And activewear, too.
And activewear.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we have some beautiful pictures of your resort wear. Do you want to tell who these people are?
Well, that's Gloria Guinness. She's Mexican, one of the great beauties of the world. Eleanor Lambert, which is the most important woman in fashion in the world, who died at 100, who created the Coty Awards, Best Dressed list, Hall of Fame, and everything like that. She had 9 houses, but this was one in Acapulco. Wow. She was a fixture. She was one of the grand hostesses of Acapulco.
Wow. And you knew Dolores Del Rio.
Well, she was my godmother.
Your godmother, that's right.
When I first met her, which I was about, I guess, 8 years old, I couldn't take my eyes off her feet. She had the smallest feet that I've ever seen.
What size was she?
I guess about a size 4.5 or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
But she was extremely beautiful. Of course, I knew her. She was much older because she came to the States in in 1916. She did silent movies, and she became a very big movie star. She married Sir Cedric Gibbons, who did all the stage sets in Art Deco, everything for Fred Astaire, everything in the 30s until the 40s. And she divorced him in 1937 to marry Orson Welles.
Tell the rest of the story. For my fans, they know my Rita Hayworth story.
Well, she divorced Sir Cedric Gibbons and Orson Welles, and they were together for 7 years. And then
Did they live together, or?
I don't know.
Living together, right.
Personally, if they were living together, they were together.
Right.
I mean, there are certain things I don't know.
Right.
And he went down to, in 1943, he went down to Brazil to get financing for a movie that he was going to make in Brazil. And he met your wonderful Rita Hayworth.
Wow.
And he ditched Dolores Del Rio for Rita Hayworth.
Well, she must not have liked Rita then.
Well, and Dolores, who was Mexican, as everybody knows, she moved back to Mexico permanently and only came up when John Ford or other movie producers, directors called her.
Wow.
And she made many, many movies in Mexico. And the first 3 movies she won the Palme d'Or in Venice.
Wow.
And in Cannes.
Wow. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of her films. I know that Rita Hayworth's goal was to be the next Dolores Del Rio.
Well, Rita Hayworth was really incredible. She had a marvelous sense of humor. She always moved her hair like this.
Yes, the Jack Cole flip.
And laughed a lot, and had a great, as I said, a great sense of humor. And was very vivacious. And she was part of the Acapulco scene. In fact, when everybody accused, they thought her actions as she was getting older were very strange, and they all blamed it on liquor, that she had become an alcoholic. But it's not true. And they didn't know the name of the disease, which is a type of dementia, which was Alzheimer's. And her daughter Yasmin Khan, the daughter of the Aga Khan, which was one of Rita's husbands, she has done wonders and work for Alzheimer's.
Well, she started the Alzheimer's Foundation and changed so many people's lives.
And she took her mother to live with her, first in New York City.
At the San Remo?
At the San Remo, and then moved a few blocks up Central Park West to another apartment that she bought, a new building. But she was a very good daughter. And her other daughter that she had with Orson Welles never came to see her at all.
Well, they were estranged, I guess, from my research, but you actually knew everyone, so.
Well, I'm sure your research is better than mine, because I never really studied it. But I do remember when the last time I saw her in Acapulco, they had a midnight dinner. We were just serving hamburgers with caviar, and they were serving vodka. At that time, which is very strange for everybody listening to this, no good household, no good family drank tequila or mezcal. I mean,
in Mexico.
Well, it was for different classes.
Interesting.
And today it's the most sought after and very expensive. I mean, George Clooney sold his tequila company for, I think, $2 billion.
Wow. That's amazing.
Things were very different. And they were serving vodka, and vodka was chilled, and everybody said that Rita Hayworth, and she drinks, and this and that. And I served the vodka, frozen vodka, around. We were only 12 people at a round table, and I didn't know what to do when I reached Rita Hayworth. And she was still so together that she put her hand on top of the glass.
Oh, wow.
And that's exactly, I remember her. But I do remember a very sad thing. She was sitting in a house, a close friend of mine, Lois Milbank, and they had a fountain. And she kept saying, "Why is it raining? It doesn't rain in Acapulco. Why is it raining?" And that was what people didn't understand at that time.
Yeah, yeah. We address that in our show in a beautiful way, though, not in an exploitive way.
No, it's not exploitive. It's just very sad that things happen. I mean, it's a terrible disease.
Let's get back to your fashion. You're still designing. You're still working in Acapulco. What are your inspirations? You have
Beautiful women, men that don't have a stomach like I do.
Oh, stop.
I used to weigh only 129 pounds, so I was a different person. But I opened my store for these beautiful women that came to Acapulco.
And they all fell in love with you and
there
fell
was
in love with your
clothes
design.
that you could wear anywhere in the world, whether it was New York or Paris. The day after I was in a fashion show, which in 1967, I opened the store. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had 9 of the most important people in fashion waiting at the door. And that's how it all started. I opened with 2 shirts and 33 dresses.
Now your shirts, you do a lot of shirt dresses and shirts with
Now,
the collars like this.
Well, this has this is unisex. Some of my things are unisex, very few. But this looks great on women and great on men. But most of my collars, I like.
The high collars.
I like high collars and I like low cut dresses.
Yes, I saw some of your gowns that were very.
You saw that long one with the draping and everything like that.
It's beautiful.
So I like women to be women.
Who were some of your favorite stars to dress in Acapulco?
Marlo Thomas, of course Gloria Guinness, Merle Oberon, who lived there also. One of the greatest and best discotheques in the world, which is in Acapulco, called the Mondos Le Club. Better than Studio 54, anything.
What made it better than Studio 54?
Everybody dressed at that time to go out. And if you weren't dressed right, you didn't even get in.
I love that.
And if you weren't wearing something long or flowing, or at that time the mini dresses were coming in, and my mini dresses were 11 inches long skirt.
Oh my goodness.
And
with the tans that everyone had, I'm sure.
And friends, people that I met that became friends. Shirley Jones, I did clothes for her movie. As Brigitte Bardot did a movie in Cuernavaca with Jean Moreau. I was consultant on that.
Which movie was that?
Viva Maria.
Viva Maria, I'll have to see that.
It's really quite an incredible movie and filmed in Cuernavaca, which is near Acapulco and near Mexico City. And I became very close friends with Dustin Hoffman. And he was a wonderful person. And then people in finance, like bankers. And then you had some people that were quite, can I say, wild, or like Hugh Hefner.
I'm sure that must have been interesting.
So I had them all come through. And that small shop that I told you about lasted 2 years. I had no confidence in my name. So the first year it was just called Etc. The second year it was called Esteban's Etc. And then I needed a bigger shop, so it became just Esteban.
I love it.
And then when it became even bigger, and I was exporting to close to 100 stores in 46 countries.
How exciting.
For 30 countries for 46 years. It just was Esteban, and then it became Esteban's World.
Oh, I love that. I have Quinn's World. You're on Quinn Lemley's World.
Well,
Welcome
see,
to my world.
We're related.
We are related.
And I'm going to have a major museum show in Mexico City, a retrospective of my work.
When?
In 2 years, in one of the most important museums in Mexico City, the Palacio Turíde, which has the entire Banamex collection, which is now owned by Citibank, but they can't touch the permanent art collection.
Oh my goodness.
It's a Mexican bank.
They should bring it to the Met afterwards.
Well, we're working on, I don't think it'll get to the Met. I don't think Diana Winters will be but we're trying to do it to the Museo del Barrio or to the Spanish Pavilion or something like that.
Well, I will definitely be there.
Well, I think
with
you should come
bells
to
on.
Mexico.
I've never been to Acapulco before. I got
Mexico.
married in Mexico, but I've never been to Acapulco.
Well, shame on you.
I just Maroma, near Playa del Carmen. So, So I have to
So you have to come
experience the
down.
other side. Now that I hear all these legendary stories.
Oh, Acapulco is incredible.
Oh, I got the pleasure.
I'm writing a book.
You are?
I've had a contract for 3 or 4 years, but I'm terribly lazy.
Well, when is it coming out?
When I write it,
Ah,
it's
well, hopefully. Now, I was in London when I made my debut with the Pheasantry. Elaine Page came, and she was a big fan of Acapulco.
oh, really? I
And
didn't know that.
Yeah, and she just wrote her book, her memoir.
She was the first Evita.
Yes, Evita. Yes, she's marvelous. I used to listen to her when I was little. She was one of my inspirations.
It's a pity that she didn't open in New York when she did that.
I know. I think she was the best Evita, definitely. Well, on the album.
Your actress on Broadway would be very upset if she heard
Well, you know, I mean,
that. Who just opened.
Patty. I love Patti LuPone.
She just opened a new play on Broadway.
I know, it's supposed to be marvelous. So when you're designing, well, you like to beautiful people, beautiful men, beautiful women. There's an ease and a relaxedness in your clothing. What's your philosophy when you're designing?
Comfort.
They're still
women
sexy,
being
though.
sexy.
Yes.
I remember going to a Met Gala with a very important person, and she had a dress on by Arnold Scassi. And she said, "I'll kill this man. I can't breathe, I can't walk, I can't do anything." And I never wanted that. I used jerseys, matte jerseys, fabrics from Europe. I was the first to use Mexican fabrics, hand-woven fabrics for export. What I'm wearing is hand-woven by hand.
It's beautiful.
And they have incredible colors. The culture of Mexico is so vast and enormous. Mexico City, for example, has 407 museums. I mean, it's an incredible country. Every village is different. And so I wanted that to come into part of my clothes. So I did more of that for the casual sportswear line and everything like that. My 1967, my first dress that I designed for a woman was like a blouse that was something from like 1800, all done in white organza, and with bloomers and lace coming down.
Fun.
And for men, it was a silk crepe de chine shirt with ruffles at the collar, ruffles at the cuffs, and ruffles down the entire front. And of course, at that time, men wore a lot of chains and everything.
Right. Did they wear the chains?
They wore everything.
Under the ruffles or
Acapulco
out?
had the first discotheque in the world.
Wow.
I mean, they all were copies of what Acapulco originally had.
Why do you think people gravitated to that area, all the rich and famous?
Well, the scenery is incredible. It's one of the most perfect bays in the world. It's the second deepest bay in the world and the third largest. It is protected. The weather is, we've got 11 and a half months of sun. You might have 2 weeks of rain a year.
So you don't get the rainy season?
We get the rainy season, but generally if it rains at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, perfect. Just when people are coming
Because
home.
Mexico City, it rains at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So then you have to go in and have a drink. Or in Mexico, you're really having lunch at that time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, Mexico lunch is at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Dinner's at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right. It's like that.
Yeah, I
in
heard you
Greece.
say before that you're a night person.
I am a night person.
I'm a night person too.
I love it. I sing at the half note in Greece, and my first set starts at 11, and it goes until like 2:30 or 3 in the morning.
Oh.
So
No,
my
I'm
mom
jealous.
would come with me, and she'd say, "Quinn, I'm feeling like a mole because I'm up all night and sleeping."
Where are you originally from?
Indiana. I'm a Hoosier, but I've been in New York since I went to NYU, and I just love it here. I love the
Well,
energy.
I studied architecture at Pratt,
Ah, wonderful.
and then I changed to Mexico.
What kind of architecture were you looking to
Well,
focus
Mexico
on?
has incredible architecture, and one of the greatest is Luis Barragan, who I adore, who brought all this incredible color, massive concrete walls, and design. So your art, your crafts, everything. And he's the only architect that's had 2 shows at the Museum of Modern Art.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to look him up.
Look, if you look him up, his books are incredible.
I will. I come from Columbus, Indiana, and we're known for our 20th century architecture. And so we're very 36,000 people, and we have architecture from all the modern architects. We're all dressed up and no place to go, but we're very well cultured.
Well, Mexico would say, your house in Acapulco is very Frank Lloyd Wright.
Ah, yes.
Very much like Falling Water.
Oh,
And you see, you have the Sierra Madre Mountains, which are thousands of feet high. There are 3 Sierra Madre Mountains in Mexico: the East Coast, the West Coast, and the center, which is an extension of the Rockies, but it goes down and becomes wider and then gets narrower again in Central America. Mexico is North America, just like United States and Canada. And so Acapulco Bay has all these high mountains around it.
How beautiful.
It's the end of the western Sierra Madre. And then this perfectly shaped bay.
I can't wait to go. Now, you had a hurricane there. And
Unfortunately.
So what can people do to help with efforts of rebuilding or?
Well, we need tourism.
But we hope to do our show there.
Would be wonderful. Many of the best hotels are open. Las Brisas, they're all open. The Encanto.
Is it safe?
Safe, it's very safe. You know, in 500 years, 520 years, 30 years since Spaniards came, there has never been a hurricane that hit Acapulco. So this is climate change and weather change and everything that's happening around the world, which some of your politicians don't agree with.
I know.
But it's really disastrous. We had it went from a tropical storm at 7 o'clock at night to a Category 5 hurricane at 10:30. And we had winds anywhere from 250 to 350 miles an hour.
Were you there at that time? You must have been scared.
It was frightening.
Yes. I was here during Sandy, but I wasn't on the water, so.
It was frightening.
Wow.
And in fact, we sat next to our dog, little dog, and one cat died from fright. The other cat went a bit crazy.
Oh. But your dog is okay?
No, the dog is fine. She was sitting next to her. But when we tried to get the cats, who had their own bedroom, we couldn't even open the door anymore.
That's terrible. So where can people, if they want to buy your clothing, where can they get it now?
Really, it's just going to be online in a few months, and come to Acapulco. Or
do you have a store in Acapulco?
I still have a store in Acapulco. I had a very, very large store, which I had designed, very Barragan. In the colors of the outside of the building were lilac, Rosa Mexicana, which is strong pink, very strong pink.
I love pink
and
houses.
Pink and purple. That was the
Perfect.
outside of the store. And inside, we had 4 flights of store of clothing, and we had a jacuzzi and sauna in the rear, and a garden, and a coffee shop.
And your patrons would go into the jacuzzi?
Not really. They wanted to try and close more.
Oh.
But they weren't perfect. Like Elizabeth Taylor, who became really close friend, and the great work that she did with HIV/AIDS. In fact, she was buying a house. She always said she preferred Acapulco to Puerto Vallarta, and she was buying a house, and that's when they discovered that she had the brain tumor.
Oh my goodness.
So that was close. But I did see a great deal of her, and 30 years ago, I started to work, and she helped me, as people did in New York, like Judy Peabody, who started Gay Men's Health Crisis. I opened an HIV/AIDS Foundation for Education.
How fabulous.
And it covers the entire state. And we became very well known because we had doctors come from France and from Sweden, and very famous doctors who even talked to the United Nations would come down, and we'd have a major conference every week, once a year, and conferences, smaller conferences just for people, students, their mothers, family, every week. And it was really the most important thing I've ever done. And Elizabeth did help me a little bit, not financially, but teaching me, because I knew so little about it. I knew absolutely nothing. Judy Peabody, who started, as I said, Gay Men's Health Crisis, sent me to Cornell, the hospital, Cornell Presbyterian.
Yes.
And I lectured to the doctors there.
Wow.
and she was such an incredible person. And then any place I went, whether it was Florida or anything, I would, keep learning. Well, when I started fashion, as I said, I never studied fashion.
You just jumped in.
I had to do it on roller skates. I mean, I had to learn. I mean, suddenly you have Merle Oberon, Gloria Guinness, Armando's wife, Tony Camille, Annabelle Singer, and different people coming in. And I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just had, and they couldn't know that.
But you had instinct, and you were an artist.
Well, if you think of it, many fashion designers are architects, were architects.
Well, you're
John Franco Ferré, Yves Saint Laurent, Balenciaga, and many more. Jeffrey Bean. I mean, we were great architects, and they just changed their
form.
I did it. I was supposed to open for 1 year, and it's now 57 years later.
Well,
what can I tell you?
Just think of all the lives that you've changed, and you've touched their lives, from your foundation to educating people and to dressing and making people beautiful and feel so
But I'd
fabulous.
be able to meet people like you has made it all worthwhile.
Well, that's such a gift of being an artist.
To meet fascinating people, to meet interesting people, and as you get older, to be able to talk to them is really a fascinating thing.
Well, I am so thrilled that you're here today and that we've met, and I'm getting to know you, and I hope next time it's going to be in Acapulco.
I hope so too.
Esteban, thank you so much.
Please come.
Thank you so much.
And everybody come back and visit us in Acapulco.
Yes. We need to visit Acapulco.
After the hurricane, we really need. And the weather is perfect.
Well, we will make it happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Quinn Lemley with Secrets of the Stage. We air every Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on mnn.org, Channel 4, or you can visit me at quinnlemley.com. Please sign up and be part of my world, Quinn Lemley World, and come to my concerts and tune in here at Secrets of the Stage. Until next time.